A bright sunshine bathes State Fair Park in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. The Robert Bosch VW Super Vees are ready for a 100-kilometer race on this historic 1-mile paved oval. The temperature is 77 degrees, winds are from the northwest at 12 miles an hour. It's mostly sunny and only a 10% chance of rain for today's event. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Bob Jenkins along with Larry Newber. Welcome to State Fair Park in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Well, this Super V division was created several years ago to give those drivers with Indianapolis aspirations an opportunity to gain some experience in rear-engine cars. And by golly, Larry, it's working.
Boy, that's an understatement. No less than 10 award-winning rookies, meaning either an Indianapolis 500 Rookie of the Year or a Kart Rookie of the Year, USAC, what have you. No less than 10, now that Michael Andretti is in the league, have come from the Super V ranks in recent years.
The defending champion of this division is Ed Pym. He's one of those who has moved on to Indianapolis-type cars, and his successor very much in question.
Yeah, it really is. We've had a couple of races this year, a couple of different winners, but there are three people who seem to be emerging as the ones to beat. First of all, Ludwig Heimrath Jr. He's a Canadian. He's won one of the races on the trail so far this year, and we've got it on pretty good authority. He may have a chance at an Indianapolis car ride a little later this week, so Ludwig would like to do well here at Milwaukee. Then there's another international driver, Arie Luyendyk. I'm pretty close on the pronunciation. It has L-U-Y, the first three letters of the name. Arie has been the fastest driver of 1984. He has led more laps than any other Super V racer. He's yet to win, but he might be very tough here at Milwaukee. And then there's Chip Robinson. He came to Super V racing a year ago on the Bill Scott team. It's one of the most winning teams in the history of Super V racing. He did very well in the points last year, and he's right up near the top again in 1984.
Let's go down to Gary Lee, who will be covering the pit area for us today. Gary?
Well, the old adage, it's easier said than done, certainly applies to Super V racing here at Milwaukee because the strategy is simple. Qualify well, start up in front, and stay there. There are no scheduled pit stops. A stop will put a driver out of contention. So let's hope all the action is on the track. Bob, you and Larry can cover that, and I'll catch up with the winner in victory lane.
Here's a description of the track they'll be competing on. It's a 1-mile oval. The straightaway is 75 feet wide, and the turns are 80 feet wide. The turns are banked at only 9 degrees. And the straightaway length is 5/16ths of a mile. There's a view of the backstretch from a camera on the inside of the backstretch near turn number 3. They've been racing on this track since the 1930s. It was dirt until the mid-50s when it was paved and is, of course, paved now. Let's take a look at the starting lineup for today's race. 24 cars are going at it. In row number 1, Arie Luyendyk in car number 61. Outside, Chip Robinson in car number 4. The second row, car number 50, Mike Hooper. And outside of row number 2, car number 5, Ludwig Heimrath Jr. In the third row, car 89, Ted Prappis, and number 11, Jeff McPherson. In the fourth row, Ken Johnson in car number 8 and Ben Gustafson in number 64. In the fifth row, Roger Penske Jr. in car number 3 and Bobby Fix in number 51. The sixth row, Justin Ravine in car 41 and Gerald Rice in 28. The seventh row, car number 63, the driver Tommy Grunna. Outside of row 7, car number 22, driven by John Richards. In the eighth row, car number 80, Steve Thompson. Outside row 8, car number 88, Ken Murray. In the ninth row, Mark Dismore, car number 34, and Rob Stevens in 73. The 10th row consists of car number 78, Robert Reen, and number 27, Gary Berkline. The 11th row, John Schieser in car number 98, and Kevin Whitesides in 47. And in the 12th and final row, car number 20, Dave Manzolini. Outside, car 72, driven by David Estep from South Holland, Illinois.
Well, Bob, you know, as you commented in the Open, last year, whenever you go to a Super V race, you could pretty much guarantee who's going to be running up front. It could be quite a shootout this year. Here's a young man in only his third Super V race ever. He's a very experienced go-kart racer. There's a look at him. Mark Dismore. He's from the Indianapolis area. He only ran 2 races last year. One race last year, 1 race this year, both times on a road course. He finished 7th in the very first Super V race he ever entered. He had a little bit of a problem adapting to this 1-mile oval here this week, but the crew is very confident that he is going to run better in the race than he did in qualifying. Dave Conti, who was with Ben Gustafson a year ago, is the crew chief on this car this year, and they had themselves 7th or 8th fastest when everybody was out practicing late yesterday, but they'll only start 17th on the grid today because Mark just didn't get it up to speed while they were qualifying.
And speaking of Ben Gustafson, he is starting from outside row number 4 in today's race in car number 64. There he is.
He may be one of the finest young racers that we've seen in quite some time. He's had a little bit of a problem qualifying at high rates of speed. He's had a little bit of a problem starting up near the grid. He does not have all that experience, but once the green flag drops, this guy right here, in a combination of the Super Vee divisions and the USAC midget divisions, he may have passed as many fellow competitors in the past 2 years as any other driver. He has a habit of starting in the back and just blasting his way up towards the front. By the way, Ben's father, Stan Gustafson, the president of the Dana Corporation, passed away over the winter months, and Roger Penske Sr. got involved and saw to it that Ben Gustafson was able to get back on the track and field the car. By the way, Ben Gustafson qualified 8th fastest today.
So the cars are still out on the racetrack warming up, and they are not out of control as they come down the straightaway. They're simply scuffing in the tires, heating them up and getting them ready for competition. Roger Penske Jr., the driver of car number 3, starts from inside row number 5. He qualified here at 121.679 miles an hour. Roger has been a regular in this division for the last few years and has run well in the division, finished 3rd in the point standings last year. The pole-sitting speed here this afternoon, Arie Luyendyk qualified at 126.819 miles an hour.
If there is to be a charge to the front from the back, it could be Dismore. We pointed him out to you a couple of minutes ago. Ben Gustafson, will he be able to charge as rapidly from the 8th hole in the grid as he does from, say, the 28th position? A couple of sleepers up front. Mike Hooper starts in 3rd position in car number 50, and Ken Johnson will start in 7th position as the number 63 has come to a stop on the backstretch.
That is Tommy Grunna from Chicago, Illinois. They do not get the green flag because of Grunna's stalled car on the backstretch. The safety officials are going to the rear of it, pushing it off the racetrack. I don't know what happened to Tommy, but apparently the car stalled, and he is in fact pulling off of the racetrack. So it looks like the afternoon is over really before it starts for Tommy Grunna.
And a real big disappointment. That was one of the few American-designed chassis running in this type of racing. The only one that had really qualified, one of 2 American chassis that had qualified for this race today. It's called a Venture. And Grunna, who is a very experienced driver, he spent some time in England running Formula 3 successfully. He had high hopes for the event here at Milwaukee, but they've been dashed even before we've gone green.
Well, he has been in the previous 2 races this year, finished 20th at Long Beach and 13th at Phoenix. He's going to be, it looks like, the first car out of the race here at Milwaukee. The pace car picked up the field, but now the pace car has moved off the track once again as Arie Luyendyk from Oss Holland leads them down looking for the green flag. And the green is out. The race is on. The jockey for position in turns 1 and 2. They come out of the second turn and flash down the backstretch with Arie Luyendyk leading and some smoke seen from that race car. In second position, the number 4 Chip Robinson. Off of turn number 4, down the straightaway. Lap number 4. Heimrath Jr. has pulled into the pits. There he is, and he exhibits his disgust with the whole situation by taking off the steering wheel and pounding the car. Ludwig Heimrath Jr., who is the leader in points at this time in Super Vees, is out of competition. Here they come for the completion of lap 2. Has opened up a tremendous lead already. He has got about a half a straightaway advantage at this point on Chip Robinson. Let's go to Gary Lee, who is with Ludwig Heimrath Jr.
Well, obviously helmets do not bounce because you took yours off and give it a fling down in the cockpit. What's the problem?
Coming out of turn 4 on the green flag lap, the engine just quit. It's only running on 3 cylinders now. There's something wrong inside. It's making a bad noise and a bad vibration.
Tough way to chase the championship when you can't complete one lap.
No, it sure is a tough way. It sets us behind quite a bit, but we're going to be back, that's for sure.
A very disappointed driver down here in the pit area.
Here's 10th, 11th, and 12th on the racetrack. In number 10 position, car number 3, that is Roger Penske Jr. He is being pursued by the number 22 of John Richards, and Kevin Whiteside's in car number 47.
Well, Roger Penske, who leads this trio coming out of turn number 2 right now, going down the backstretch, he was one of the preseason favorites for the points championship. Right now he's tied with Luyendijk, our current leader, for 5th in the point standings. And now you see moving to the inside in car number 41, Justin Ravine trying to gain some ground on the number 22 of John Richards. Ravine in the dark-colored car, it's actually black, and Richards in the red car. In the center of that sandwich, Roger Penske Jr., the former place kicker for Lehigh University, leads the trio.
Roger Penske Jr. calling his home Red Bank, New Jersey, driving the Red Roof-Ins Ralt RT5. Most of the cars in this race are, in fact, Ralts. And there is the leader once again, Arie Luyendijk. In car number 61, the leader of the race coming out of turn number 2 and down the backstretch. Still with about a half a straightaway lead on second place, Chip Robinson. Running third is Ben Gustafson in car number 64. Fourth is car number 11, driven by Jeff McPherson. And running fifth at this point is Gerald Rice in car 28. Now the leader began to pass some of the slower cars coming out of turn number 2 onto the backstretch. Here is Jeff McPherson in car number 11, and right behind him is the number 8 car of Ken Johnson. This is the battle for 4th position.
2 of the new faces on the Robert Bosch VW Super Vee trail. McPherson there in the white blue trim number 11, and a beautiful black number 8 with the orange, red, and yellow trim. That's Ken Johnson. Both of them are new to this series in 1984 and have showing quite well. McPherson right now, again in the black 8, is in 4th in the point standings. He has finished 6th twice, once on the road course at Long Beach and again at Phoenix. And boy, they're really dicing and going at it. This is for the 4th position. They're running behind Ben Gustafson, who has about a turn advantage over the 4th and 5th spot you're looking at right now.
One of the nice things about this type of racing, the cars can compete on not only the ovals as they are competing on here this afternoon, but they also race on the road courses. 10 laps have been completed with Arie Luyendijk continuing to lead, with Chip Robinson running in second, and then Ben Gustafson. Here again is the battle for 4th position now as Ken Johnson looks like he was going to make a move on Jeff McPherson there in turn number 3, but could not get the advantage. Here they come down the straightaway. McPherson leads Johnson down. Johnson looking for the opportunity here to take over 4th place. He closes in as they go down the backstretch. Jeff McPherson from Santa Ana, California, continuing to hold on to that 4th spot. Now Johnson looks like he wants to go inside, low, and turn number 4, off of the corner onto the straightaway. Now they move side by side as they cross the start-finish line. McPherson high on the racetrack, and Johnson low, wheel to wheel into turn number 1, and Ken Johnson picks up 4th position.
Some great racing going on. You can see how much of this 1-mile racetrack the Super Vees can use. They actually have 2 or 3 grooves. We've watched most of these guys practice all weekend long, running way up out of the dark groove section of the racetrack up into the gray matter. You can see both of those guys as they swing out of turn 4, and Gerald Rice, the yellow car behind them, likewise getting way up in a place where, I'll tell you, the IndyCar drivers would certainly have to fear to tread because of the way their cars are designed.
All right, here is the leader, Arie Luyendijk, in car number 61, the Provimi Field Ralt. Running second at this point is Chip Robinson. Most of Arie Luyendijk's experience has been on the road courses. So this is not all that familiar to him, and we asked Luyendijk about competing on an oval.
Well, I found when I started with oval racing that it wasn't as easy as I thought it would be. But if your car is not working on an oval, then it's very difficult to go around because, like on a road course, you can still, you know, take care of things yourself a little. But here, on an oval, the car has to be working right, and a lot of that has to do with the driver to set up the car. But well, I like oval racing now. I didn't like it at first, but it's just because now I've got a good equipment and I can set up the car, and it does what I would like it to do.
And we have a crash up in turn number 3 as Robert Green in the blue car was right behind a car that spun, and we'll check the numbers on these cars.
I think it's Rob Stevens, Bob. The red car, I believe, is Rod Stevens, and Bobby Ream, as you call it, the blue number 78. Bobby, by the way, in the blue 78 had spun, or rather had slowed, and was running about 20 to 30 miles an hour slower than the rest of the cars on the track.
So Rob Stevens' car, here is the situation that developed up there at the end of the backstretch. He is holding his hand up. That's the number 22 of John Richards, who is obviously oiling the racetrack. He has his hand in the air, and that causes the spin in the oil involving Rob Stevens in car number 73 and Robert Green in the blue 78.
I'll tell you what, I've seen synchronized swimming not look as good as that. You know, that was a pretty good tandem spin, and I don't think either one of them really made hard contact with either the other or the wall.
So Reen moves into the pit area now and has those tires checked over to see if there were flat spots on them because of the spin. Safety crews out on the racetrack. 17 laps out of 62 completed here at State Fair Park in Milwaukee in the Super Vee race. And right now, the leader is Ori Leyendijk with Chip Robinson running second and Ben Gustafson third. We'll be right back. The yellow flag is still out at State Fair Park with 21 laps of 62 completed. Here are the top 10. Ori Leyendijk is the leader, Chip Robinson second, Ben Gustafson is third, Ken Johnson fourth, and Jeff McPherson is fifth. In sixth position is Gerald Rice, seventh is Ted Prappus, eighth is Bobby Fix, ninth is Justin Ravine, and 10th is Roger Penske Jr. Well, Saturday, June the 30th, ESPN puts you behind the wheel of the fastest sports cars in the world. Join us at Mosport Park for the first race of the Can-Am Series. It's the first of 7 Can-Am races that you'll see on ESPN this season. Catch it on Saturday, June the 30th, the specially built Can-Am cars at Mosport Park in Canada. All right, the pace car moves off of the track, and the green flag flies once again. The race is on. Ori Leyendijk leads down into turn number 1, but a challenge for second position as the other cars file through turn number 1. The challenge for second, Ken Johnson moved up nicely, but now falls back into third as Ben Gustafson still has second place there in the yellow car. And again, we see some smoke coming from Leyendijk's car. We saw that on the very first lap, and he did it once again. In the pit area with John Richards, the driver of car number 22, who had an engine let go a few laps ago and created an oily racetrack. Gary?
John, I know as a driver there's an empty feeling in the cockpit when you hear that engine go behind you.
Yes, definitely. This isn't the place to watch the race from.
And you lost it down the front straightaway, right?
Yeah, it just let go. The motor went away.
At that point, the only recourse is to get the car out of the groove, and hopefully you won't oil the track down.
I couldn't hear you.
I say at that point, your only recourse is to get the car out of the groove and not oil the track.
Yeah, I tried to get off, but Penske went underneath me, and I had to stay up high.
Another spectator out early, John Richards.
On the racetrack, Leyendijk continues to lead with 25 laps completed. Here he is moving out of turn number 4 and onto the straightaway once again. Running in second position is Ben Gustafson. Third is Ken Johnson. Then fourth is Chip Robinson. And in fifth place is Gerald Rice in car number 28. But again, we are seeing the leader, Leyendijk, open up some distance between himself and the second place car.
On the right-hand side of your screen in the yellow car, it looks like Gustafson's car, but that is Gerald Rice. He's been running in fifth for about the last 10 laps, and about 1 lap ago, they were almost 3 abreast for third. you can see how rapidly you can fall behind in the Super V competition. Rice was right up there with Robinson, whom you're looking at there, the dark-colored car with the red trim, as well as the number 8 car of Ken Johnson. And all of a sudden, Rice now is about 4 or 5 car lengths behind the 4th position car, which is the number 4 of Chip Robinson.
And there is Ken Johnson in car number 8. Ken Johnson is currently 15th in the points for SCCA Volkswagen Super Vees. He had a 10th place at Long Beach and a 24th at Phoenix. The guy we were talking about just a few minutes ago, Chip Robinson in car number 4, is one of the winners of the 2 races we have had. He won the race at Long Beach and then finished 10th in the event at Phoenix.
Now watch this. That's Ben Gustafson in the yellow car. I want to tell you something right now. The number 8 of Ken Johnson. And here comes Robinson as they go 3 right into the number 3 corner. Ben Gustafson will not give up easily. Watch, this could be an exciting battle. It's not over yet. Watch him close as they come down the front stretch.
Chip Robinson in second. Side by side for 3rd place is Ken Johnson and Ben Gustafson. One of the neat things about running on this racetrack, it is wide, and these cars can go 3 and sometimes 4 abreast, not only down the straightaways, but through the corners, as we have already seen demonstrated, as we are not quite halfway through this event here at Milwaukee.
And because you're down on horsepower, momentum is such a critical item. And what happened on that last lap coming out of turn number 2, Gustafson lost momentum, and it caught up with him at the end of the straightaway. Gary Lee in the pit area.
In championship car racing, the drivers communicate with the radio with the crew. However, we're not using radios today here, so Ari Leyendijk is reading the pit board. Obviously, the pit crew has no idea what the problem might be with the smoking situation. The information that is being passed on, twofold. One, the lap time. Now, 29 seconds flat the last time around, and his lead is 4 seconds. That is the information being flashed to your leader.
There is the 2nd place car, Chip Robinson, car number 4. Right behind him is Ken Johnson in car number 8. This is 2nd and 3rd position.
Well, there is 2nd and 3rd, and their 4th position. There's Ben Gustafson. He's had sort of a yo-yo race. He was in 4th, and then he moved up to 2nd. Now he's back to 4th. I think he may have lit up the tires a little bit. He was racing very hard a couple of laps ago, and now he's lost a couple of positions.
Ben Gustafson has experience in the midget cars, and of course driving midgets, you drive wheel to wheel in competition, and Ben talked about that.
With the midget racing, I really learned that I'm not afraid of the wall. I'll run against the wall. You've probably, a lot of people have seen me run up against the wall. I'll put the car into a spot to where I'm within inches of another car. I know where the car is, and as long as the other driver isn't going to sweep around the track, it'll be fine.
Well, the 21-year-old from Maumee, Ohio, is certainly demonstrating his ability to run wheel to wheel. We saw him in heated competition just a couple of laps ago. Now he's placed solidly in 4th position. As we take a look at the leader once again, Ari Leyendijk, car number 61. He is a 30-year-old race driver from Oss, Holland, finished 4th in the 81 Super V Championship. His new team and enrolled for 1984, making him a top contender in the races so far this year. Leyendijk has a 2nd place finish at Long Beach and a 26th at Phoenix. Here he is down the backstretch, and this time showing no signs of any smoke from the rear end of that race car.
Bob, this is going to be a big day for somebody, because the first, and Leyendijk way up along the wall coming out at turn number 4. He gathers it back in. It's going to be a big day for somebody, as the first 4 runners in this race to this point, and we are more than halfway, well, just about halfway. We're going to go 62 laps, 35 are down. The first 4 runners have never won a Super V race, and we've seen how much of a springboard this is to the big time. It looks like we're going to have a first-time winner ever in Super V ranks here today at Milwaukee.
Let's run down the top 10 for you at the completion of 35 laps. The leader is Ari Leyendijk. 2nd place is Chip Robinson. 3rd is Ken Johnson. In 4th position is car number 64, Ben Gustafson. There he is on your screen, battling with Gerald Rice in number 28, who is 5th. 6th place, Jeff McPherson. 7th is Ted Prappus. In 8th spot is Bobby Fix. 9th is Justin Ravine, and in 10th place is Mark Dismore. Once again, here is the battle for 5th position. Ben Van 6th, Ben Gustafson, and Gerald Rice in the yellow cars.
Gerald Rice in the 2nd yellow car on your screen, the number 28 there you see trailing Gustafson. Rice is a man who came to Super Vee racing with experience on the road courses, and he's been working very hard to adapt to the ovals. He's from California, and he's driving an Anson, one of the few front-running cars in Super Vee competition that is not a Rult. All the other top runners, at least in this race today, are driving Rults, but Rice is in an Anson. He's just 23 years of age. He's a 12-time national champion in go-karts here in the States.
At State Fair Park in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, 41 laps completed out of 62 that make up this 100-kilometer race for Super Vees. The leader, Ori Leyendijk. Robinson is second. Chip Robinson is third. Neither Johnson has now moved into third, with Gustafson fourth and Gerald Rice in fifth position.
Well, Ari just went around Steve Thompson, which is another one of the yellow cars, another one of the unusual chassis. That's a 2-year-old Argo that Leyendijk just went around Steve Thompson. And Leyendijk, remember, he has led. There's the difference he has put between himself and Thompson in just one straightaway. There's the number 80 of Thompson. Leyendijk has led more laps than anybody this year. He really looks tough today. Here's that 2-year-old Argo we were talking about. To be precise, it's an Argo JM12, and it's a different philosophy and chassis design, really, from all the other cars out here today.
Steve Thompson is a 34-year-old businessman from Excelsior, Minnesota. Well, these cars look very much like an Indianapolis-type car, and Larry took a look at it closer at the chassis.
The Rult is the dominant chassis on the Super Vee trail, and it's very similar in design to the Indianapolis March car. The frame or the monocoque ends right behind the roll bar. You saw that vividly in the Pat Bedard crash in Indianapolis. But you'll notice you're looking at a car that's not built like that. This is a 2-year-old Argo, and the frame or the monocoque extends behind the roll bar and wraps all the way around the engine. The engine is dropped inside the framework on this car instead of being plugged into the back of the tub as a stress member. Now, in theory, this makes the car much stronger. It is said this is like a tank compared to a Rult, but also it makes the car more predictable, more dependable in terms of the chassis setup. This crew feels as though they should be able to make their adjustments with more expertise than all the other Rult crews.
There's a scoreboard in the middle of the infield here at State Fair Park showing the top 5. Number 61, Ori Leyendijk leading. Chip Robinson is second. Third is Ken Johnson. Then the number 64 of Ben Gustafson, and in fifth position, Gerald Rice. There's the leader, Leyendijk, down the main straightaway. As a matter of fact, Ori was entered at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway for the 500 in a Provimi field car, but he did not make any practice laps on the Speedway, but he's doing a fine job in the Super Vees, leading right now with 46 laps completed. We'll be back with more Super Vee racing from State Fair Park in Milwaukee. Bob Jenkins, Larry Newber, and Gary Lee reporting to you today on a Super Vee race from State Fair Park in Milwaukee. We've completed 48 out of 62 laps, and the leader is the driver of this car, number 61, Ori Leyendijk. Cars out of the race. David Estep is out in 72. Ludwig Heimrath was one of the early outs in car number 5. Also out of the race, Tommy Grunna, the number 22 of John Richards. Mike Cooper is out. Gary Berkline is out, and the number 98 of John Schieser retired recently with an electrical problem.
Mark Dismore, the go-karter who we talked about earlier in the show, as having not a qualifying time that was pleasing to himself or the crew, has been working very hard today. They hope to make a big move to the front. It really hasn't happened, but he's had a very consistent race, and with just 10 laps to go, he's placed well in the top 10. He was just lapped by the leader, Leyendijk, a couple of laps ago, and we've got him unofficially in 8th position. He's a man that a lot of people feel has quite a future ahead of him as a race car driver. Extensive experience in the go-karts and many, many national championships for this young driver, Mark Dismore.
He hails from Greenfield, Indiana, which is just east of Indianapolis. He did not compete in the Phoenix Super Vee event on April 15th of this year. However, he was in the first Super Vee race of the year at Long Beach, California, and finished 12th in that one. Leyendijk continues to lead. 52 laps will be completed as he crosses the start-finish line, and that will leave us with 10 laps to go.
A lot of new faces once again in 1984 in the Super Vee Trail, and I tell you, if you're looking to go big-time racing, this is the way to go. And talking about big-time racing, Here's another person that a lot of folks feel as though could well be there someday. His name is Justin Ravine. He's from the Miami, Florida area, and last year he was one of the most successful SCCA drivers in this country. In his class, he won 6 of the 20 races that he entered. He also performed very well in a couple of other open wheel divisions, and when Justin Ravine announced that he was coming Super Vee racing, here he is, in 1984, a lot of people took a half a step backwards and kind of gave him that illegal eye, thinking this guy may well be one of the people we have to beat. Now that has not happened yet in 1984, but he's just learning this type of race car. A lot of the tracks, of course, that he's running on in 84, he's never seen before, so he could still be a force to be reckoned with later in 1984.
There's Leyendijk, our leader, putting a lap on one of the back markers as he continues to run very smoothly around this 1 mile flat paved oval at Milwaukee. Leyendijk, car number 61, the leader. He has led all the way in this race to this point. Ted Krampus is another one of those drivers who is a regular competitor on the Super Vee trail. There he is, Ted Krampus, the driver of car number 89.
Painted like the Dan Gurney Mike Curb Indianapolis car, carrying the same colors of Dubonnet. Here's a man from Los Angeles who is a movie crewman who hopes to get out of that profession sometime in the next couple of seasons and become a full-time professional race driver, although he does enough driving in SCCA and particularly the Super Vees that I suppose he's got 2 full-time jobs in the movies and also as a race driver. He currently is in 5th place in 1984, or 3rd place in the 1984 point standings, having finished 5th at Long Beach and 3rd at Phoenix. He's one of the most exciting drivers you're going to find in open wheel racing.
All right, just 6 more laps remain in this 62-lap race as Ori Leyendijk is looking good, headed for victory. We'll see if he can hold on. Back in just a moment. We are back at State Fair Park in Milwaukee for the conclusion of this Super Vee race. There are the top 5, Leyendijk, Chip Robinson 2nd, Ken Johnson 3rd, then Ben Gustafson and Gerald Rice, the top 5.
Leyendijk would really like to get this one. We commented it would be his first win ever. He led at Long Beach while battling for the lead. He was involved in a spin. He had to settle for 2nd. At Phoenix, he was walking away with the show when the engine went away and he was unable to finish the race. He was a DNF at Phoenix. So this is one he'd really like to have. Without a doubt, Ori Leyendijk has been the fastest Super Vee driver of the 1984 season, displaying the home state colors of dark blue and yellow of the Provimi Veal people. The first win, well, he would have liked to have had it at Long Beach, but I guess if he had to wait, this would be the place to get it in front of all the sponsors that he hopes that someday perhaps might take him to Indianapolis and maybe even in 1985.
The 30-year-old Holland race driver started from the pole in this one, qualifying at 126.819 miles an hour, jumped in the lead at the drop of the green flag, and has never relinquished it. Leyendijk now moving through turn number 4 here at State Fair Park. We'll get the interval between himself and 2nd place for you. Here he crosses the start-finish line. 2nd place of Chip Robinson. He's about 2.5 seconds behind the leader, Leyendijk.
And Leyendijk is really going quick today. He was only about 0.3 of a second off of his qualifying pace, and that's a lot faster than what you expect to go in the race. Here's the number 47 of Kevin Whitesides, another one of the rookies. He's running a Van Diemen. It's a non-Ralt, and it looks like that Kevin, whose father takes care of this machine, has had a mechanical breakdown and will not be one of the finishers here this afternoon.
Kevin, a 21-year-old driver from Columbia, Missouri, slowing on the backstretch as the white flag has been given to Ori Leyendijk. He has less than 1/2 lap to go now as he streaks down the backstretch. Leyendijk now approaching turn number 3 on his final lap, sets the car into the 3rd turn, moving through it onto the 4th turn. Now here he is onto the main straightaway, going low on the racetrack, and the checkered flag falls for Ori Leyendijk, the winner of the Super Vee race here in Milwaukee today. 2nd position goes to Chip Robinson in car number 4. There's the closest race for position. This is the 4th place battle. Ben Gustafson in 64 and Gerald Rice in 28, and Gustafson wins 4th spot. Make that 5th position.
Yeah, Gerald Rice was able to get around Gustafson as we look at the winning crew who has won here at Milwaukee. There he is, Arie Luyendyk. A big moment for this young race driver. Lean, hungry, keen-eyed Arie Luyendyk. You'll probably see him here in a few minutes. Luyendyk finally winning victory number 1.
We will be back with more from State Fair Park in Milwaukee after these messages. Luyendyk, the winner of the Super Vee race.
Arie, congratulations here in Victory Lane. You had to think you had it won the first time out in Long Beach. Again in Phoenix, it was not to be. You had to be wondering again today if it would hold together.
Yes, I was very happy that the race was over because I was looking at my my temperature gauges and stuff, and they were getting a bit hot. So the last 10 laps I just drove 8,500 revs, 8,000 instead of what I used to do before, and I'm glad it all held together.
Well, very, very early in the contest, we saw a puff of smoke. Did you notice that?
Excuse me?
We saw a puff of smoke from the engine early in the contest. You were not on the radio with the crew, so we could not ask them. Was there a problem at all in the engine?
No, there wasn't any problem at all. My crew, Lee and Scott, did a hell of a job, and I'd like to thank them, and especially Profimi Field, my sponsors, who put together this nice package for me. And I'm glad I won here at our home track for Profimi.
Congratulations on win number 1. Arie, we'll have more from State Fair Park. Stay with us.
Back at State Fair Park in Milwaukee, well, the race went pretty much as we expected. Arie Luyendyk started from the pole and really was never seriously challenged.
No, he wasn't, and I really am glad for Arie because he has deserved to win from the drop of the green flag at the very first race this year, and he's had a lot of misfortune. He was over here about 4 years ago trying to excel in the Super Vees. The program never really came together for him. He went back home to Europe. He was successful there and decided to try it one more time. Come back. The Provimi Veal people put this program together for him. He's a very deserving winner, Bob.
And Chip Robinson, also a strong performance, winding up in second place.
Well, Chip is putting together his own program this year. He's with Bill Scott last year, a very established team, and Chip decided to branch out on his own. You know, there's an interesting story. Of the top 10 finishers, only 2 drivers had won main events in Super V competition prior to today. So a lot of new faces, a lot of youngsters coming along. And I'll tell you, if I was sitting in the seat of an Indy car right now, I'd keep my eye on this division.
Well, let's find out how Chip thought it went. And here's Gary Lee with him in the pits.
Well, indeed, the trophy reached second place before the race, Chip. We talked about the necessity of a good start. Obviously, you didn't quite get the start you wanted. And then early in the contest, you had your hands full because there was a pack right behind you.
Yeah, the initial start, Arie just did a little bit better job than I did, I think. And then on the restart, I blew that one pretty badly. I made a big mistake, and Ken Johnson and Ben Gustafson both got by me.
And obviously, at that point, you had to reach down and grab the bootstraps and pull yourself back up and go on and race.
Well, then, I was at a big disadvantage then. I had to work to get past them, and I think Arie got a pretty good lead on me during that period. Then I think it sort of settled down a little bit, but that was probably what cost me the race, I think.
So the conjecture is that had you been alert perhaps on the restart, you would have had a shot at the finish.
Well, it wasn't so much being alert. I should have done something a little bit differently, which hindsight is great. Next time I won't do it.
And obviously there will be a next time. Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, let's review the top 10 in this race. Arie Luyendyk the winner, Chip Robinson second, Ken Johnson wound up third, Gerald Rice fourth, and Ben Gustafson in fifth place. Finishing sixth was Jeff McPherson, seventh was Ted Prappas, eighth Mark Dismore, ninth was Bobby Fix, and 10th was Justin Ravine. We'll see the Super V several times this year. The next time we see them will be on the road course at Cleveland, Ohio. For now, for Gary Lee and Larry Newber, this is Bob Jenkins saying so long from State Fair Park in Milwaukee.